Hi everyone, my name is Mike, and my father's a school principal. I'll tell you everything about our family. My dad is the principal at my school. You may think that it's cool when your father is the principal at your school, but you're seriously mistaken. It's not all that simple. Of course, there are some benefits if you're the son of the school principal. But for example, teachers don't treat me like other students. They are more helpful. Sometimes they give me better grades or don't pay much attention if I didn't do my homework. They don't keep me in after school because of misconduct. Besides, I'm one of the most popular high school students. Probably everyone knows my name, and this gives me advantages. A lot of guys want to be friends with me, communicate with me, and invite me to the parties all the time. To be honest, girls like me too. These are perhaps all the benefits. And believe me, there are much more disadvantages. I'm the principal's son, which means that I must be the best at everything. This is exactly what my dad expects from me. But I didn't live up to his expectations. That's why we had an uneasy relationship with him. Since I was a child, he's always used my elder brother Ethan as an example. Ethan is the boast of our family. He's the one who perfectly fits the definition of the principal's son. He has high scores in the report card. He always won prizes at contests and competitions, and teachers admired his essays. He is currently studying at Oxford. I don't enjoy studying so much, and I don't need Oxford. I don't aspire to it. I like to take cars apart and repair them. I want it to be my occupation in the future. But my father is dead set against it. His sons must have a well-respected scholarship so that we wouldn't discredit him. That's why he constantly made me read books, encyclopedias, and learn long poems when I was a child. And when I grew up a little, he made me play in the school basketball team so that I would be the best in that sphere as well. It doesn't pay to argue with him. My father is a demanding and strict man of principle who disregards other people's opinions. There is only his opinion, which the whole family follows and doesn't dare to argue. These traits were the reason why he became the principal of the school. Unfortunately, my school. He took a total control over me. He was tough on me even at home, and at school he was watching me all the time so that I wouldn't get into trouble, make friends with bad guys, or do something terrible. And he didn't protect me. He was trying to protect his own reputation. Dad never heard what I wanted, because my opinion never existed in our family. I hate basketball, my status at school. I don't like studying, but any disobedience was always punished. If I was late home at least 15 minutes, my father deprived me of pocket money for a week. If I dare to argue with him, he will take away my laptop for a month and pretend that I don't exist. I always dreamed that my father would finally understand me and take me the way I was. I also wanted my dad to say that he was proud of me, at least once in my life. And one day, I finally heard these words. We were asked to prepare another report in biology. The teacher said that the best ones would get the Board of Honor, and this would certainly be taken into account when entering college. As always, I ordered a report from our excellent student and paid for it. She wrote reports for me in such a way that they didn't stand out with anything special, but at the same time, I got good grades. But that time, she mixed up the folders with our reports and gave me her report. I didn't even read it. I just signed it quickly and handed it in. And a week later, I found out that my report was considered one of the best. I was shocked, because my works had never been so highly praised. Pop, the teacher, was as surprised as me. He praised me in front of the whole class and hung the work on the Board of Honor. At that moment, I didn't think at all that it wasn't me who had written this paper. It was our excellent student who harbored a grudge against me. I simply forgot about it. But I was really happy when my father called me to the office after school and said that he was very proud of me. The biology teacher showed him my report, and my father was glad to hear that I was finally singled out among all the students. For the first time, I was honored not only with these words, but also with the special smile that he gave only to Ethan. On this occasion, Dad even arranged a dinner in one of the best restaurants. My parents were happy for me. But our family joy didn't last long. A few days later, our excellent student, who couldn't take such injustice, told the whole truth to my father. She told him that I constantly paid her for writing reports for me, copied off most tests of her, and took the undeserved award for the report that I hadn't even written. Dad was furious. He raised hell at home and said that he had never been so ashamed of me. He repeated that only honest work was rewarded, and liars achieve nothing in life. In the end, My father said that this was the last straw and decided to expel me from school. He said that I would study at a military school where I would be re-educated. This news was so shocking that I couldn't stay calm and shouted out that I hated him. Dad just looked at me indifferently and said that he would soon agree on my admission to school. A week later, I had to leave for military school. I didn't expect such a terrible punishment, but I didn't argue with my father. It was his way or the highway. It seemed to me that my life went down the drain. But everything changed dramatically when I learned the terrible secret of our family. And it all started when I came to school to pick up my stuff from the locker. My father already took care of all the documents, so I didn't have to do that, and I accidentally overheard a conversation of two girls who were standing not far from me. One of them proudly told her friend that her future at one of the best universities in the country was already secured, because her parents bought her a report card with the highest scores from the principal. I simply couldn't believe it, because my dad kept telling me all my life about dignity and pride. My world turned upside down in a snap of a finger. Resentment and anger overwhelmed me, and I decided to catch my father red-handed. The next day, I asked my classmate to help me catch my father taking a bribe. She agreed. I gave her a camera, and she hid it in her bag, went into the principal's office, and said she wanted to buy a report card with excellent grades. Half an hour later, when I got the camera back and was already watching the video, I hoped till the last that it was just a rumor, but it wasn't. Dad really took bribes, huge ones. After receiving the evidence, I wasn't pleased at all. It hurt so much. All my life, I tried to be a good son, so that my father would be proud of me and love me as much as he loved Ethan. I was always punished for my misconduct, and meanwhile, he turned out to be a dishonest man. I came home with the video and didn't know what to do. On one hand, I wanted to simply delete it, so that I wouldn't feel resentment and acute disappointment. But on the other hand, I could punish my father for his misconduct by telling the police about his bribes. My childhood and adolescence were always under his control. He never let me take an extra step, no matter what I do, and even if I asked him, he didn't take my wishes into account. He always told me that I must do the right thing under any circumstances. So should I listen to my conscience now? I decided to ask my mother for advice and told her about bribes, but she wasn't even surprised because she always knew what my father was secretly doing at school, and my mother didn't see anything wrong with that. Right after she said that, I realized that my family only seemed to be perfect at first sight. I couldn't decide what to do with the video for a very long time, but I came up with a very great idea. When my father came back home after work, I went to his study and told him that I knew about the money that he takes from the parents of his students for report cards with good grades. My father just looked at me sternly and replied that I was talking nonsense. Then I showed him the video in which he was talking with my classmate right just a few days ago. Father's facial expression changed at once, and he looked at me in dismay. I saw him so confused for the first time in my life. I promised him that I would never tell anyone about it, if and only if he left me alone, canceled my studying at the military school, and let me do whatever I wanted. Of course, as a father, he didn't like it at all, but he was forced to agree with me. His dignity was more important. I defeated him for the first time in my life. Maybe I didn't do what conscience told me to do, but I gained freedom. My life changed after our conversation. I quit the basketball team, began to spend more time with my friends. I was no longer afraid to be late for home. I did pretty much anything I wanted to do. Well, not that too reckless, of course, but my father kept his word and got me back to school. Too bad, My relationship with him became even more strained. We almost never talked with each other. I don't know if he still takes bribes, but the main thing is, he no longer controls my life. What would you do in my place? Give your answers in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.